sometimes the cold open just writes itself. When was the last time we had all four of us together?
Well, it was back in 1904. I don't know.
I think Chase was still a college student.
Mm-hmm.
Justin had a different job.
What you doing now, Justin?
I'm in finance. I'm still in finance.
Okay. I was gonna say, okay. Oh, damn, that's how long it's been. Jeez.
Yeah, Chase got out of school, and I think Justin's going back to school now.
That too.
Yeah. It's been a minute, and listen. Truth be told, it's mostly my fault. All right, welcome in. Once again, we are running through the jungle. I'm your host, Brandon Herriott, here with your host, Tim Lyons, Justin Lacey, and special contributor, Chase Younts. What's going on, my friend? Welcome back.
Yeah. Let's go.
What's up?
Full crew for the off season. Talking Super Bowl, talking what the Bengals need to do, talking trash about some of the stuff the Bengals have done. I'm sure we'll end up in there somewhere here or there because I'm a little bit bitter. We appreciate you guys rocking with us. Austin Zart, always the first in the comments. We appreciate it. Hit that like, subscribe, thumbs up, share with a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. Rate, review if you're on Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate you guys as always. Well, the NFL is officially season over for the 2025 season, and Super Bowl 60 has concluded. I was really close. I picked 26-13. I couldn't get it. He had to make all 5 field goals. I just needed him to miss one. Listen, I hit on the under. I hit on the Seattle Seahawks, and I hit on the MVP, Mr. K9. So I had a pretty good Super Bowl week. I'm not mad about it. I want to know what you guys thought about it. Justin, what did you think about the Seahawks and Patriots Super Bowl 60 as an overall football game?
Yeah, Tim and I actually did our pick'em show, and when we picked the Seahawks Patriots game, him and I were kind of like in lockstep and agreeing where we just didn't feel like this game was going to be close, and it ultimately ended up paying out that way. One of my favorite bets was Kenneth Walker over and under 72.5 rushing yards. I took the over on that and parlayed that with the Super Bowl MVP. His odds was set up there at 850. That was my favorite bet. That was my best cash-in value of the game. I didn't really care about touchdown scores just because I kind of anticipate this being more of a defensive battle. Even though you really did see some touchdowns. I was about to say, did I go in and out?
No, I said I had AJ Barner.
AJ, you had AJ Barner. That's nice. That's nice. And I couldn't even remember that dude's name for the life of me, Tim. I kept saying Barton was the tight end. No, it's AJ
I think
Barner.
you were saying Barton. Yeah,
I mean, he played at Michigan. I'm not going to screw it up. Come on now.
Here's the crazy part about it is that I even said during our preview show was that he was that sneaky weapon that you got to keep an eye out for him because everybody already knew how they was going to migrate coverage over to JSN. You just got to know who was going to be the next man up. We knew that Cooper Kupp was going to be featured a little bit more in this game. He was the setup for a guy like JSN. Obviously, he got hurt, so that didn't really happen as much. I was impressed by both defenses, man. Even though I was impressed with the Patriots altogether, I was impressed with the defense of the Patriots. Christian Gonzalez, he is a stud. Like, he is a beast. And I'm going to tip my cap to him and give him flowers. Drake May, he just didn't show that the stage just looked too big for him. But overall, man, it was a great game for me personally, even though it was a snooze fest of a game. But it was a great game for me because I won the bets that I placed. on Kenneth Walker. And I also did a sneaky bet with betting the over on Travion Henderson's rushing yards. It was set at 18.5, and he just got it with 19. So those were two out of three of my favorite bets. And I was like, I can't believe I actually did it. And the Seahawks obviously won in convincing fashion, like I thought so.
Yeah, I was AJ Barner. I agree with you. I said the same thing. Vrabel is from that Belichick school, and what Belichick was known for on defense was whatever your biggest weapon was, he was going to take that away and make you beat him a different way. I thought Vrabel was going to do the same thing, and it really seemed like he was bracketing JSN before he got hurt and really focusing on him, taking him out of the game. And I think it's kind of rolled that same coverage and philosophy they had going on over to Cooper Kupp when he left. Chase, what was your take on the game? What'd you think of Super Bowl 60?
Well, from what Brandon and Justin were saying, it would have been nice to have gotten the script because you guys seemed like you knew what everything was going to happen. But off that note, I mean, my big takeaway is the impact of Mike Macdonald as a defensive coordinator and defensive mind. Obviously, Brandon, you remember him from the Michigan days, and we remember him from the Baltimore Ravens days. And again, I know I don't want to parlay us back into the Bengals, but Mike Macdonald gave a lot of teams trouble in the AFC North. Mm-hmm. He did. I'm glad that's out west. That's the big thing. But it was interesting seeing a lot of these blitzes that they were doing. They were rushing 4, but then at the same time, they were sending a linebacker and the nickel, which a lot of the times was Devon Witherspoon, and they would send them off the B gap. So again, the running back who was blocking over there in protection had to pick up one of those guys, and he usually picked up the linebacker because Devon Witherspoon was so sneaky and slithery and was able to get after the quarterback a lot, and Drake May. And that was the thing. I think Drake May's processing clock never sped up. And in a situation like that, when you're getting blitzed so much, it's got to go 1,001, 1,002 run. And Drake May's legs were supposed to be the X factor in this one. But unfortunately for the Patriots, it was, the triple X. It's out. It's over. And that was the big reason why I think they lost the football game. The Seahawks defensive scheme, the Patriots had seemingly no answer on how to block any of these guys off the edge or how to try to, counter against that. If they should have moved the pocket, I think they should have, but they really just kept dropping Drake May back. They couldn't really get a run game going like that. So that made life tough. The Seahawks front seven is legit. Their secondary on the back end makes life tough. Mike Macdonald's got those guys playing some fantastic football, got themselves a ring. But how about Sam Darnold on the rebound? That was one. I think that was the best, the greatest career rebound in NFL history. I mean, Darnold.
Yeah, and he didn't have a great Super Bowl. I mean, like 200 yards passing on 38 attempts, but he had the game that they needed to get the Super Bowl, which was against the Rams. That was his, crowning a performance in my mind. I also thought it looked like Drake May was laboring whenever he was throwing the ball, pushing the ball past 20 yards. I really think that shoulder was bothering him. It seemed to affect his motion, throwing motion and whatnot. Now, also, I didn't hit every bet I placed, just so you know, Chase. I had Witherspoon over 5 tackles, and he did not do that for me. He had a lot of pressures and only 1 sack. He really had 2 sacks, but they ended up calling the second one the turnover for a touchdown and interception.
Yeah,
it's
because it didn't hit the ground. So, what are you going to do?
That was ridiculous, by the way. That was stupid. Like, they should have counted an interception and a sack fumble. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, he caused it one way or the other. You got to give him some credit, don't you?
You saw Witherspoon back there. That's what it was. Drake May remembers.
Yeah, for sure. Tim, what was your thoughts? And what's the temperature right now in Seattle? And I don't mean the weather. I mean, everybody pretty excited about the what do you call them? The sea chickens or whatever you call them.
Actually, they had their parade today, and everybody seemed to be pretty pumped and all that stuff. But it was a good. I enjoyed the Super Bowl. I thought it was a great defensive battle. It was great to see that Kenneth Walker. It was, the question was, could Kenneth Walker carry the load on the offense against the Patriots? And he did. He proved that he could carry the load. He was our MVP. Everybody picked him. I know I picked him. Everybody picked him to be MVP. And I want to give kudos like I did last Friday, to Vrabel and the Patriots. They had a good season. They were the best in the AFC. They were the last man standing over there. And, Unfortunately, defenses win championships. That's just the way it is. Defenses win championships. But one thing I want to touch base is, Chase said, Darnold, he stepped up. He made this complete turnaround and became a Super Bowl quarterback. He's a Super Bowl champion quarterback. And I know a lot of people are still doubting him. It's like, if you look at the stats in 2002, there was a quarterback that played in the Super Bowl who actually won the MVP with 145 yards passing and 1 touchdown.
You talking about Brad Johnson?
No, I'm talking about Tom Brady in 2002.
Mm.
His first Super Bowl.
Yep.
His first Super Bowl, he threw only 145 yards, 1 touchdown, won the MVP, and they won the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people are still giving Sam Darnold a bunch of flack. Oh, he didn't do much. Well, he still threw for 200 yards and a touchdown. So, if you look at his stats, he actually was, threw for over 4,000 yards, had 25 touchdowns throughout the season. He was a good quarterback. He did what he needed to do. And JSN didn't win the Offensive Player of the Year by himself. Somebody had to throw him the football to be the Offensive Player of the Year. So you Sam Darnold haters or doubters out there still, just stop it. Just stop it. He won the Super Bowl. It don't matter if it was the defense that won the Super Bowl or if it was the running back that won the Super Bowl. Sam Darnold is your captain out there, your quarterback, your guy that's out there calling the plays in the huddle. Give him his flowers where his flowers are due. Sam Darnold did exactly what he needed to do. He didn't turn over the ball. He wasn't, throwing interceptions. He had a great game. But Kenneth Walker, man, congratulations on your MVP. You ran the damn ball, and you showed the definition of running the damn ball. Congrats to Seattle.
At the parade you were referencing too, Kenneth Walker was 5 minutes before they went on stage. There was said the GM said he was trying to negotiate his new deal with him.
I bet.
Pretty aggressive move. Yeah. And he did shake his head a lot at the GM when the GM was talking. I just got that out there. Now, look, they're in a good situation too, right? Mm-hmm. Seattle's $65 million under the salary cap going into the offseason as well. So they do have a few people they're going to have to make some decisions on, but they're sitting in a good spot. Chase, did you have something you want to add?
That's an agent's dream. You're telling me Kenneth Walker's agent is like, you know what? My guy just finished his 4th year. He won a Super Bowl, let alone the MVP. This guy's having a field day right now, negotiating whether it's with the Seahawks or whether he wants to go play the field. Kenneth Walker's going to have a big payday coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I probably going into the year with him splitting carries with Charbonnet or whatever, figured his next contract would be his big one. I was thinking 8.5, 9.5 a year. We're probably looking at 11, 12.
He might have gained himself 3 or 4 now. Yeah. So, I mean, time and a half.
Didn't Kenneth Walker, he had injuries last year, wasn't it? Was it injuries last year or the year before? So I think when they brought him in, this year and they were splitting those carries between Charbonnet and Walker, it was kind of to make sure that he was 100% go, to be honest. But also, though, with that 1-2 punch with Charbonnet and Walker, they weren't wrong to do it. I think Charbonnet led the league, led the team in rushing touchdowns. If I'm correct, with I think he had 10 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, he's a little more of the big back bruiser.
Yeah.
Of the two.
I mean, real quick, the Seattle Seahawks, man, they have no pressure at all. Nobody was expecting them to win the Super Bowl whatsoever. So the dream scenario is exactly what you want to be in. You're so far down under the salary cap to the point where it's like, if you got to make some tough decisions, you're like, okay, we weren't expected to be here to begin with. And now how many people are going to want to join this roster moving forward on future championship runs? I also do like the nickname that they gave this young secondary, the Dark Side. They were phrasing them as the descendants of the Legion of Boom. That was actually one of my favorite calling cards as I was hearing the commentary throughout the game. But tip my cap to the Seahawks altogether, man. They built a fantastic team. John Schneider, he built a fantastic roster through the draft. I mean, the hit rate was literally 90%. That tells you, man, you ain't got to worry about not being able to draft somebody because you're going to find those gems. So, yeah, now that's what I wanted to go and say.
Not a single person from that Super Bowl team back in 2013-14 was on the roster this year. I mean, like you mentioned, John Schneider completely built that team, handpicked, free agency, draft, all that stuff.
And he's done it twice.
It's twice, exactly, Brandon. Yeah. So again, I mean, you gotta tip the cap to him and put him in the conversation as one of the best GMs in football.
Agreed. To me, the tough choices he's got coming up aren't the Kenneth Walkers and those things. You know, obviously you want to re-sign him, but you got Charbonnet coming back off of injury, and if you have to draft somebody else, I don't think you see a huge fall off there. You want to re-sign him, sure, but you got Woolen and Kobe Bryant in that secondary, both coming up in free agency. You can't let both of those guys get away, right? You got to get one of them signed up. I like Woolen a lot. I don't know why.
Well, and another thing is like, you know, my concern is who's going to retire on that team? Are they going to stick around for another year? Because if you look at Leonard Williams, you look at those guys, they've been in the league for a little bit. They've been in the league for just a little bit.
It's true.
So, but I'm hoping that, you know, I'm hoping for my mother-in-law's sake because she's a huge Seahawks fan, and I pay attention to it. You guys know that. But I hope for their sake they stick around for another year to see if they can win the whole damn thing again.
And let's give a shout out. McDonald, you know, we referenced the Michigan ties or whatever. And listen, I mean, it comes down to Michigan and Ohio State coaching against each other, and we know what's going to happen. But also a Cincinnati guy.
It's true.
You know what I mean? So there's that connection too. All right, let's take a break here real quick, and let's come back and chop it up about the Bengals as we normally do. If you haven't already, please give us that like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. We'll be right back after these messages. And once again, we are back here with Running Through the Jungle. Covered the Super Bowl, and now we are getting back to the off season. It's tough. Yep. I miss football already. It is what it is. I missed it when we went out, but we need to I don't want to get. I've already seen people out there doing you know, their mock drafts and all their other kind of stuff. We haven't had the underwear Olympics yet. It seems to be putting it a little bit ahead of itself. But I do want us, especially since we got all four of us here, I do want us to really go after what our needs to address during the offseason are, and what positional needs that we need to draft. I asked for your Mount Rushmore, so your top 4 positional needs, and if you prefer they address some draft or in free agency, you're welcome to give that to us. Who's got their list ready and wants to pump it out here? Let's go.
I already got mine. I'm ready.
Let's go. Tim, you're up.
All right. So my number 1 is safety. We've seen what. Don't put me on that. That's awful.
What?
Yeah. There we go. That's perfect. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So number 1 is safety. You know, we saw how horrifically bad they were at tackling. We couldn't tackle a fly. You know, my number 1 safety that I wanted to draft last year, he plays for the Seattle Seahawks, Nick Imawari. We missed it. We didn't get it. We didn't get it right. We got freaking what's his nuts, the defensive end, Shamar Stewart.
They actually used the draft capital from DK Metcalf to move up in the draft to get him too.
Right. So yeah, but we did, but we missed out in the 2025 draft. This year, I'm hoping that we can get this right this year in the draft. You know, I'm looking at Downs as my safety of who I would draft. You know, if he's available, that is. Number 2, my number 2 Mount Rushmore is edge rusher. Of course, we know one or two things are going to happen. Is Trey Hendrickson's going to walk out the door, or we're going to tag him and trade him, whatever in the hell the situation is.
We'll tag him and have a damn fiasco is what we'll have.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen, because Cincinnati Bengals are going to freaking ask for the damn moon to try to trade Trey Hendrickson again, you know. But we need to really address that either with a veteran and I don't really know off the top of my head the veterans that are in free agency, or we addressed it in the draft by drafting Bain or who was my other guy? Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. I like him too as well. We could address that edge rushing position by bringing in one of those two guys. And then number 3, of course, our interior defensive line. Our interior defensive line, it's aging. Really BJ Hill kind of he downgraded. He was not the BJ Hill that we've had in the years past. I know we kind of tried to lean on the mutant Chris what the hell is what's his last name? Brandon out of Michigan.
Chris Jenkins.
Yeah. I know we brought him in there. He's brought
been solid, but not great.
Yeah, we brought in TJ Slayton. Not
solid,
not
but not great.
Yeah. So, and then my final, I'm kind of like up in the air about my last final Mount Rushmore upgrade, because I want to say cornerback, because we really have no depth in quarterback. We have DJ Turner and we have Dax Hill. That slot position, we really need to get it right, or we just need to get depth in general, or we can make find somebody in the free agency who's a veteran who can actually help mold these corners. But it's just the corner position is just, there's no depth. We can't, and we don't know what's going on with CTB. He's probably out on the streets or on the highway picking up trash, doing his community service now. Who knows? Well, I don't know what's going on with that, but
I wanted to get rid of him before he got in trouble.
Yeah, but the depth in cornerback for me, and that's my Mount Rushmore for me.
Yeah, and obviously there's going to be some little wiggle, of course, depending on where people fall in the draft.
Yeah,
especially
and what we do in
draft.
free agency. Yeah, and it depends on what we do in free agency too. We've been disappointed. We're Bengals fans.
Yeah, this is going to be a fluid list. This is going to be a little bit fluid list.
Yeah, we have to capitalize on defense for me.
All right, Chase, you want to go next?
Yeah. Man, I mean, pretty much can just stay all defense. Oh my. Pretty much can just stay all defense on this one, but on the defensive line, it's pretty much we're going to have to make I would like to make some sort of a splash with the signing of a guy like, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins we're talking about, like a Jeffrey Simmons. I think he would be a ridiculous impact, but I just don't know if they would, spend that type of money on him. It would be amazing to get a talent like that who was a disruptor, and can get after the quarterback would be nice. But if they went defensive end, I could see them targeting a guy like a Caleb Chasen, who had 7.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, just played in the Super Bowl for the New England Patriots. So interesting on that front. I feel like you need to address that in free agency. If you can get someone great in the draft, like a Ruben Bain, if he fell at 10, that's perfect. I just don't think he's going to fall to 10. Linebacker. Oh, man. I know they spent, obviously Demetrius McKnight, obviously they have high hopes on him. I think that he got better late in the season. I think they used him a little bit differently. They also used him, a lot in the blitz and kind of rushed him off the edge. And I think he found some success there. I don't want to see Barrett Carter out there as a starter. I really don't. We can't do this. We can't do this again. Quicksand. That's pretty much describes Barrett Carter. Bad angles. He has the feet of a bad big man. Let's go back. What was his name? Never mind. I'm not going to go that far back. But just all bad big men in basketball. It seems what Barrett Carter has right now is feet. All right, he can't move. I would like to address that in free agency, and possibly a guy like an Alex Anzalone from Detroit. Would like to see maybe something like that. I don't know. There's probably some other linebackers out there. Haven't really done a deep dive on that. Safety, I agree. In the draft, if Caleb Downs is there at 10, I want him. They've talked about him, a lot of Ohio State beat reporters, coaches, even Matt Patricia. I mean, when Matt Patricia tells you that a guy is literally acting like a 10-year veteran in the locker room of a college, like someone at Ohio State. I mean, you take your word for that. I mean, Matt Patricia won a couple Super Bowls for the Patriots and such, but man, I mean, Caleb Downs, having that guy being able to walk up in the box or even play high over the top and just be that ultimate Swiss Army knife, but can come in here day one and become a leader on that defense would be absolutely critical to get him in there.
Also doesn't miss tackles.
Doesn't miss tackles, because there's one guy that does miss tackles, and there's one guy that needs to take his ass up or down I-75. I don't know where, just not here. Yeah. But the third and this one, you know, I'm actually thinking about potential receiver 3 or tight end 2. Here's the thing with that. So with the tight end position, we got to remember that Eric All Jr. is coming back off of that torn ACL. Okay. And he was great in the first half of his rookie season. I really liked how they used him. It was awesome.
I really hope he comes back and he's just a freaking beast next year.
I really do. It's a Cincinnati kid with the Fairfield, you know, like I hope he comes back and everything. And obviously they still have Drew Sample, Mike Gesicki's under contract. So maybe the tight end talk might not be. And then they like Tanner Hudson. They extended him too. So tight end, probably not, but receiver 3, I don't know. We've already seen how that went drafting a receiver in the 3rd round, trying to get him receiver 3. Just hopefully this guy doesn't have character issues. Or if you go into free agency and get a guy that you can rent for a year and get some production out of, I'd like that.
Do you think Tinsley, if let's say if Tinsley works out with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, he can make sell himself into a wide receiver 3?
Let me answer that, because
you got it.
Let me answer that. You can put me up on the big screen, because I'm actually going to do my list from 4 all the way up to 1. And number 4, I actually had wide receiver 3 too. And no, I do not want Mitchell Tinsley as my number 3 receiver. I don't care how much you train with Jamar and T. You've been in the system 2 years now. All you can do is just fade corner routes in the red zone. That's all you got.
Good.
You don't have a route tree. It's not going to develop at this point in time, and I can't wait. I need a free agent veteran that can come in there and steal that spot. I'm not going to spend any draft capital on that. If somebody falls to me like in the 3rd or 4th round, maybe I'll entertain that then. But I'm just not interested in bringing another young guy to try to learn behind T and Jamar. Those guys are too much unicorns in their own right, and they're in the prime of their career. They don't got time to be taking anybody under their wings to teach them how to be a pro in the NFL. They didn't have that. I mean, you can say Tyler Boyd to an extent, but they had to be grown-ups, and they had to come in and work hard right away and become captains. That's what T and Jamar had to do. I need somebody like a veteran that can really – we're not expecting too much from them because we have a diversified tool of weapons. But other than that, I really like to see a wide receiver 3 come in as a veteran free agent. Who that can be, I don't know, somebody that can be somewhat of a field stretcher. He doesn't have to be an aging guy like a Keenan Allen just because he might command a big dollar off the books. Somebody that has like a DeAndre Carter or something.
Justin,
he has
I got
that
one for you too.
Ability. Rashid Shaheed. We mentioned that for the Seattle Seahawks. He is going to be a unrestricted free agent. The Seahawks got to make a decision on him. That's a guy I would love to have as wide receiver 3 because he's a guy that's fast. He can open up the offense and he can do kick returns. So that's what I got as a sneaky need at number 4, honestly. Number 3, I'm with you all, but I got linebacker at number 3. I just can't see this linebacker duo just taking another year and think like, oh, we're going to hope. If you literally walk into next year as Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter as your starting linebacker again, you have literally banked on hope being your strategy, and I'm not interested in that either. You got guys like Demario Davis, who's going to be a free agent, who used to play under Mike Hodges, the linebackers coach in New Orleans. He's a free agent. I don't think the Saints are going to be able to bring him back. You got a guy like him. There's other guys that are veterans. They're in their stances. There's going to be cap casualties that their decisions are going to have to be made on said team. And you may have your pick of the litter from that position because that is a devalued position over the years. But you just need a veteran captain, not like we thought it was going to be Logan Wilson, but he ended up turning out to be ass cheeks. So with that being said, you need somebody that's plugged right between them two to help them really ascend to new heights.
How about
if before you get to your hold on, if Arvell Reese falls at 10, even though I do not anticipate him being there, that is the only situation that I will address it in the draft. Otherwise, I can wait till like the 3rd or 4th round, like a Jacob Martinez or something like that can come to fruition from that point on. What were you going to say, Tim?
I was going to ask you, what do you guys think of a Quay Walker? Quay Walker's going to be
Quay Walker will be another one.
next year.
Devin Lloyd, that'll be another one. But here's also another thing, how we know how Bengals tend to work. They're not going to spend and overspend at a position where
Right.
it's not as valued. Because on the next two, this where you might have to spend some real good chunk change here. Because I got safety at number 2, and for the exact same reasons that you guys mentioned. I do not want to see Geno Stone running out of that tunnel again as my starting safety. And I'm still not fully sold on Jordan Battle, even though I liked some of the progression that he made during the back end of the year. But it was already when the season was done. I'd rather have him as my safety 3 to kind of come in some nickel and dime packages. But I really just need another starter, a couple more starters there. Yes, I want Caleb Downs at 10 in the draft. But I also am looking at him as he can also play the slot corner nickel, and he can also play one of the box safety route positions as well too. But again, you're going to have your pick of the litter. These guys are going to have to make cap casualties from other teams. Think of like Minkah Fitzpatrick. Think of guys like you can make a splash signing for like I don't know. You'll have your options. Just be able to fix that position. But I need 2 new solid veterans. Yes, I will be okay with keeping Jordan Battle, but only at safety 3. But I really want to fully elevate that position and to a strength in the whole as a secondary by drafting Caleb Downs at 10. Because I think that he's like a Jamar level type of value. Because Jamar back in 2021, his reason why I went team chase on that one was because he will elevate their entire receiver room by himself, and then Joe Burrow will elevate them. You need that kind of blue chip talent for the secondary to really elevate into a strength. And then last but not least, is defensive line, mainly the interior. I need a true overhaul in that entire room. I don't think you're going to get it in the draft because then you're going to have to wait a couple of years. Sure, there's guys like David Bailey, and what's the other, Peter Wood. People are talking about him. I'm not interested in the rookie in that spot. I think that if you are going to want to do a 1-year turnaround and fix this group, it has to be a splash signing. You got to make a big move. I don't think that there's going to be any big-time players that's going to be available in free agency. So what does that entail? You may have to sacrifice a couple of draft picks. I'm thinking maybe sacrifice and offload the second-round pick just to land a guy like a Jeffrey Simmons. You got Christian Wilkins still out there in his old situation, but I don't know if you want to bring that in the locker room. But, man, I would love to have a Jeffrey Simmons. And for the Trey Hendrickson situation, man, I'm not interested in no more tag and trade. I think that's fans really talking themselves into a situation that can happen where at the end, I feel like personally, you just need to move on because you've dragged this out for 2 years in a row and it's been a problem in the circus of an offseason. The Bengals just need to move the hell on.
I could not agree with you more. I think sign and trade is a disaster waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's me, though. All right, on mine, I'm saying I'm going to do the same way Justin did here. I'm going to start at 4 and work my way up. And I'm actually going to start with a position that you guys did not mention, offensive line. I think we've got, Orlando Brown aging. We got Karras aging. We need to get some more depth. We're going to have to make some tough decisions over the next year or two. And I think if we wait too long to bring that in, I think that becomes a problem. I don't know if there's somebody that catches your eye out there. I'm looking in free agency. That's great. I'm looking at it more as a draftable second, third, fourth rounder, wherever you see your biggest value at in that position, snag one up. Going to number 3, I go interior defensive line. I separated the line to interior and edge because I think they're so different in what they do. That said, I kind of agree though. If you kept those two together, I would probably have linebacker in here as well at 4 and move O-line up. But I'm going to go interior defensive line. Again, you guys have all stated it. We've just been, you know what I mean? It was better than it was the year before, but it still wasn't good. And we need to get more. I think we've gotten good rotational pieces. I'd like to see somebody that kind of raises the level of the water, so to speak, in that interior defensive line. Number 2, safety. I think everybody that watched the Cincinnati Bengals last year saw what an issue that was. Goodbye, sayonara to Mr. Stone, and let's get somebody in there that's dominant. I don't care if it's free agency. Caleb Downs, we've all talked about, is great. I've seen a lot of people, linking him to the Giants at 6. I think it is they're at right now. So if that's what happens, it could mean Bain could fall down to us, which leads me to number 1, edge. And the reason why I think, yes, Trey Hendrickson, losing him is part of it. Big part of it, too, is going to be the pressure on the quarterback from the edge position itself and getting somebody that's dominant, not somebody that hasn't had production, and somebody that's a project, somebody that's dominant, has multiple moves, and has a lot of production. I think that can cover up. It's like a coat of paint. Covers up a lot of blemishes on your defense. You know what I mean? Like your quarterback can't stay covered real long. Get to the quarterback in 2 seconds or less. Then you can kind of change coverages around and play a little more press man and do a bunch of other stuff. So I think that gives us more flexibility on the defense and wrecks the game a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, you can make an argument that the first 6 draft choices need to be on defense for us, and we need a couple of defensive acquisitions and free agency, and I'm not going to argue too much with you. But offensive line, it's simply because the number 1 asset on this team is Joe Burrow. I want to make sure we keep taking care of him. Justin, I got another name for you on that wide receiver 3, though.
Yeah.
What about Wan'Dale Robinson?
I'll take it.
From the Giants.
He's a free agent this year.
Free agent, slot receiver, coming off 1,000 yards receiving this year.
And yeah, I will again, the key factor with that is that I'm not saying that you need to do a Tyler Boyd replacement. I don't need direct replacement, because what you should have had with that was Mike Gesicki. You go from a 3 wide out to a 2 tight end set, but we really haven't had a complementary tight end that went along with Mike Gesicki. I'm sorry, I just do not trust Tanner Hudson, and I never really liked Drew Sample, and I wish that he would be a cap casualty this offseason finally, even though because I just don't think he's that great of a blocker. And yes, we get Eric Allback, but I'm not going to want to bank my hope on a guy coming off of a whole year-long injury.
Yeah. Second ACL thing.
Yeah. And David Njoku just announced on Twitter, on social media, that he is going to be a free agent. Man, I would love to be able to get a guy like him. And then that's a real 2 tight end threat.
Yeah.
If you're here in Cincinnati. But yeah, if you're going to entertain wide receiver 3, because I do truly believe that that's a sneaky need. We've been very fortunate with health the last couple of years with Jamar. T somewhat, but mainly Jamar been healthy. But you gotta understand that there is a possibility that one or both of those guys can miss some time. And who are you going to throw to? Charlie Jones? Really? Like, that's not going to work out for you. Andre Joseph, I still can't get separation unless it's in the red zone. And even then, you still got to worry about him catching the ball. But yeah, I like a guy like a Wan'Dale Robinson. I think that's a good selection.
Yeah. I like
Double A here says he thinks the Bengals should go all in on making more changes, expanding their tight end room as well. You want to keep it in division? Give you another name, Isaiah Likely.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. They already made a commitment on signing Mark Andrews, so I don't know if they got a lot of pie to spread around. Maybe they might be able to bring him back, depending on how they restructure Lamar Jackson's contract. So,
Cade Otton from
and I don't know,
is a free agent.
To be honest with you guys, I don't know if the Bengals are even gonna like if there was an opportunity that that Njoku could sign with the Cincinnati Bengals, they'd have to give him some money.
Okay.
His contract ain't going to be cheap. I have a feeling that contract is not going to be cheap for us.
What is he? And that's where that's okay. That will be like a negotiating tactic, because the argument you can make with David Njoku, you just let a rookie tight end just beat you out of your own job. And have you really done anything since you've been in the league other than 1 Pro Bowl? Like, let's call it what it is. You may be a unicorn at the as far as physique and build, but realistically, dog, you ain't Gronk. You're not Travis Kelce. You're not even the best tight end on your own team, let alone in the division. So
yeah, but he was making what, like $13.6 million with the Browns.
Then that was a stupid contract that Cleveland had, and then that's why they're not bringing him back because they should not have signed him to a $10 million, $13 million a year contract where they just was doing it because they had money to blow away and spend.
I like
think that
it.
was probably more or less that.
I think we need a big, sexy fucking tight. Excuse my French. Sorry, freaking tight end. My bad. We need a big, sexy, tight end. We really do.
True.
For us to have that big tight end out there that can not only block, but he can also catch the damn ball. That would be great. I think that's one thing that I actually agree with Austin. That we actually need to go out there and get a big ass tight end.
Yeah, I like and I like what Justin was talking about with having you could actually run a 2 tight end package, and you could be like, you know what, we'll just throw Gesicki or Njoku into the slot. They're a big slot receiver as it already is, and more times than not, Gesicki would probably be the guy in the slot just because of his build and everything else and his intangibles. But the Wan'Dale Robinson, that one got me thinking a little bit. That's an interesting one. I'm not saying we need to go this route, but Jawan Jennings had 9 touchdowns last year for the Niners. Maybe someone that can. He doesn't really necessarily play in a slot.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of him. I just don't like him.
No, I don't like him either. I don't like him either.
If you want to go a little bit more discount, Ben, on some more tight end depth, and look at that Wan'Dale Robinson piece for a wide receiver 3, why not? A stone that we turned over once already. We got Foster Moreau coming out of New Orleans as a free agent. Has a history with Joe Burrow, kind of a blocker and a pass catcher, that kind of sense. Not as sexy as an Njoku, but could give you a little bit more of a viable option than Drew Sample.
If we did, if we cut Drew Sample, cool. Like I'm in on that. But 2 Drew Samples is enough sample for me. But
I'm done. I'm done with this Drew Sample and this Tanner Hudson bullshit. I'm sick and tired of it. Get rid of them. Let them go. Let them.
If Tanner Hudson's costing you $2 million, I know it doesn't.
The Bengals
it doesn't bother me,
him.
But that's not.
But I'm just saying it's worthless. He's worthless as on a bull. It's like I don't know.
He's a depth piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if he's not your top 2 tight end, it's fine.
Yeah, I get it.
You got to have 4 of them on a.
I get it. I know. Yeah.
2 tight end sets and jumbo packages and all that kind of jazz.
Tim, I'm sorry, not Tim. Brandon, you brought up O-line. And here's my thing about that. Because if this was a list that we weren't doing like a Mount Rushmore and I can incorporate top 6, O-line would probably been that number 6 for a sneaky need too. Just because I just don't like the performance of Orlando Brown Jr. anymore. And I really feel like that you gotta start bringing in a developmental piece, maybe through the back end of the draft, so to speak. I don't think they need to aim high, but how I looked at the Mount Rushmore was this is the position that you have no non-negotiables that you need to absolutely make some changes to. And yes, it would have been very easy to do defense. But the reason why I also wanted to incorporate wide receiver in there, wide receiver 3, is because you just can't be banking on this hope or this notion that the offense is set. We don't even worry about that. That's kind of a theme I've been hearing for the early part of the offseason. This offense is not set in stone. It really
I just think it's because there's so much trash with the defense. The defense over the past 2 years have been historically bad for a 2-year stretch.
And really, if you really want to be honest, they were even bad in 2023. Even like slightly before Joe Burrow got hurt. It's just that nobody wanted to pay attention to the signs because everybody was so focused on that, And that's why I don't want to get to a situation where we're so hell-bent on defense that another hole crater is going to get created just weirdly out of nowhere on offense somewhere. It could be wide receiver 3. It could be left tackle. I can clearly see a need that like Orlando Brown Jr. is going to get become a problem to the point they're going to put him on the bench. And now next thing you know, they got to sign so-and-so off the street because now they got to teach Orlando Brown Jr. I could see that unfolding for real.
I have offensive line, another pass catcher, whether that's a wide receiver 3 or tight end, and another running back, all on my list for offseason needs.
Yeah.
All 3 of them.
Add the value. There's no harm in adding value. I like a second running back. Sorry, I like Taj Brooks in the future. I don't like him now. I cannot keep on banking on. I cannot keep on banking on Samaje Perine, although he did fine this year, but fine is just not going to cut it on a year-to-year basis. Give me somebody like a Tyler Algier or something. He's a free agent. They're going to be banking all their money on Bijan Robinson in Atlanta. Somebody like him is going to fall by the wayside. You'll have, again, the Bengals, if they're smart and then really cast a wide net with their free agent acquisition targets, they can really hone in on bringing some key guys. And next thing you know, man, we're talking about this team in a different lens going into another playoff run, something like that next year.
So why do you think Taj isn't playing at all?
What, Tyler Algier's not been playing?
You said Taj. You said Taj or Tyler Algier?
Taj.
Okay.
Taj
I was
Brooks.
saying it sounded similar. I just don't think that they're creative enough on offense to really schematically put a real dominant run game. And also, let's just be real. Taj Brooks is not a guy right now. He's not as fast as Chase Brown. We don't know if he can do pass protection as a running back, and he needs somebody to guide him along. So Samaje Perine was good for him while he was there.
Looked pretty decent in the preseason games. Looked pretty good in the preseason games. Then we got into the regular season. It was just like, you sit down there and guard the water jug, okay?
Yep, never saw. And that's another thing where I'm like, why does it always take the Bengals till Thanksgiving to run the football well? You know what I mean? That's something that needs to get figured out. And come on, man. It goes to Tim's thing. It goes back to Tim's thing, run the damn ball. But it's like, seriously, though, if you can't figure it out then and you're forcing yourself to throw the football 40 or 50 times and dropping back 40 or 50 times, that's where you get issues with having your quarterback injured. We all know Joe Burrow's great. We know he is. They paid him that way. It doesn't hurt to hand the ball off 30 times a game if you've got Chase Brown and another guy back there that can split those carries. But we don't necessarily know, do we trust Taj Brooks? Is Samaje Perine going to be valuable for the rest of the time? Who do we draft in the mid-round? It's free agency.
I just pointed out this comment, and Austin, thank you so much, because I know you solo dolo in the chat right now, talking about you like Perine to be the number 2 running back. But here's the thing. This is my problem, because there is a thing we're just having too much continuity on this Bengals team. We're already keeping all of our coaches, okay? Which, in my opinion, that stinks, because we need some shakeup at some point. A part of it is that keeping the exact roster the same on a year-to-year basis can be a problem too, because people know what you're going to run, and your offense is going to be predictable, and then it's going to become stale. And then when it becomes stale, it's going to get bad, and now you're going to be too late to make changes. Having somebody like Perine on a year-to-year basis as your RB2 on a regular basis, where when he was in Kansas City, he wasn't even a third or fourth option that sometimes. He came in on just rare circumstantial situations because they needed more running backs than we did. So my point is that if there's an opportunity to increase the value of that room, you do it. Just go ahead and take care of it. And that's why I brought out guys like a Tyler Algier for an example, but there are other guys. If you still want to bring in Samaje Perine, I'm fine with it.
Well, he's on a 2-year deal. We still have him for one more year.
RB2. Say it again.
I said we still have Samaje for one more year.
And that's fine. But I will be okay with bringing somebody else in, because I don't like the notion of just keeping everything exactly how it is on offense.
Every year there's a running back that's drafted in the 5th, 6th round that pays off valuable minutes early. Like if you see a diamond in the rough in one of that 5th, 6th round,
go get him.
Go get him.
Snag him.
Go get him. Well, look how you got Chase Brown. How you got Chase Brown?
Yeah. Look how Chase Brown had to get his job. The Cincinnati Bengals, there was something. Hold on. But where I'm getting to, hold on there, Speedy. What I'm getting to is look, for example, how Chase Brown had to get his job in order for the Cincinnati Bengals to make a running back change. Unfortunately, I think Zach Taylor is so set in stone of bam, bam, bam. These are going to be my guys, and that's it. Unless there's a freak of nature, somebody gets injured, or whatever the fact of the matter of it is, and then they get their chance to have a good game or have good games. And then next, Chase Brown is our number 1 running back. I just feel like Zach Taylor is he's got his head so far up his own ass that he doesn't know how to look at change. Like, we know if we don't change, if we do not evolve as an NFL team, we're never going to win championships.
Nope.
We know that.
That's
Nope.
the old mediocrity is the enemy of greatness.
Right.
When you just accept mediocrity, oh, that's my guy, I'm gonna re-sign him. It's easy.
Mhm.
You don't do the easy thing. Do the right
Mm-mm.
thing.
Yeah.
The right thing is to make your team better.
Right.
Who
Right.
gives
By
a shit
all
if it,
means necessary. Go make that
Yeah.
team better.
and who gives a shit if it pisses off the fans or pisses off the player or whatever? We got to make change. We got to evolve with the freaking game. We know what this game is today. But one thing that has not changed in this game today is defenses win championships.
Yeah.
And we
And
really need to
even
focus
then, you got to
on that.
know when to get off of the defensive players at the right time. I made
Right. Old
cases
guys.
against
Yep.
Trey Hendrickson all last offseason
Right.
and got a lot of people pushing back on me on social
Mhm.
media. And am I wrong? I don't know.
Nope.
It's not completely, the book's not
It's
completely
over.
written, but I can tell you this. The Patriots fans complained, bitched, and moaned about Richard Seymour going to the Raiders until they
Right.
lifted another Lombardi trophy. Then it made everything okay.
Yep. They got rid of Dietrich Wise. They also traded away Keon White, who they drafted. So it all comes with the territory. Like if a player ain't really performing, or you got to shed off some dead cap to get some of these old contracts off the books to really resurface the value of this team, go ahead and make that happen.
And
And to
cut
the
Peppers last season.
Julius Pepper, I mean, right? No, Jabril Peppers, not Julius Pepper.
Jabril
Jabril Peppers. But also, too, here's another thing. I'm just so sick and
Man,
tired of hearing
Julius
this because we
Peppers
did
was
it all
still
throughout
there.
the
Shit.
offseason when we needed O-line. Oh, we just needed just an average defense and Joe Burrow carries. See, I'm sick and tired of hearing that. I really am. Okay, for once, be aggressive and throw some skins to the wall and make a move to make the damn change happen. And yes, make it in. People can turn over this stuff in a year, believe it or not. I cannot stand that notion anymore. I was okay with it early on in the Burrow Jamar Chase era when I was making the arguments to help elevate the offense. Like, well, you don't need to go get this elite line. I was okay with making that argument. But what I didn't see is that they're going to get in really bottom basement level guys that you're constantly shedding money to go get guys to replace those guys and then more guys to replace those guys. I don't want to keep doing that for the defense. That's a whole side of the ball. So don't be so miss me with all that. Just be a top 20 defense. No, you need to be a top 10. Be aggressive in that regard and go be a top 5 because you want to aim at that high stakes potential. Stop with this whole notion. It just feels like this is why we need to change from the top to Zach Taylor. And we can say this for a whole nother episode. I'm sorry. But it's because they put way too much pressure on Joe Burrow carrying them so much that when matters don't work, they're just looking at it like, okay, well, Joe Burrow will carry us. Oh, okay, what do we do? Like, yeah, I'm just annoyed all the way around.
It's like baseball, man. You know, you're sitting in the box and you're waiting for that perfect pitch. You might not always get that perfect pitch, but guess what? If that ball's in the strike zone, damn it, swing.
Hit it.
Mm-hmm.
You might miss, but okay.
All right. You took the swing. There we go.
I love that analogy, though. That's very rare that we do a baseball analogy on this show. So I really appreciate you. Tip my cap. That's that sports journalism coming out. I see it.
That's my girlfriend coming out. She does with the Reds, but still, I mean, you know, it's whatever. But
I love it.
Listen, hey, this is going to be what we're going to be getting into all off season, guys. So tune in each and every week. We're going to be here. We're going to go over what the Bengals moves should look like in our minds, what they could look like, what we're hearing out there, and break down some of the draft as it gets a little bit closer. The draft is going to be in my backyard over here in Pittsburgh. So I believe I have a couple people coming in for. I believe Pay is going to come in and crash. And my wife is really excited about spending her first anniversary at the NFL draft here in Pittsburgh. I don't know how I can sell that one to her.
boy.
Yeah, it is what it is. I didn't think that part out. My bad.
That was piss poor planning on y'all's part.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make it up.
Married during the draft.
Well, getting married Saturday of the draft is not a big deal. I didn't know the draft was going to be in Pittsburgh the following year. I didn't pay attention to that. So now the first anniversaries while the draft is here is a little bit tough. You know what I mean? So I think year 2, I'm going to have to plan something big. I mean, we're probably going to It's going to include a flight. I'm pretty sure. That's oops, my bad. All right, it is what it is. But yeah, we'll be breaking down this stuff. We'll be breaking down who we think they should go after, and I'm sure we'll complain about the front office more and more often. Chase, you got anything coming up that you want to tell the folks about?
Just doing some baseball and basketball play-by-play on the radio, TV, and just finishing that out till we get to March. And after that, my ass is set for March Madness. There we go.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I'll be in Vegas for March Madness if anybody needs me.
Pretty good.
Tim, Justin, any last words?
I mean, season's over with. You know, we're not doing the pick'em show. That's kind of already submitted itself. We both picked the Seahawks to win. They did, so that's it. Until next season.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Tim.
It was a great, I want to tell everybody, it was a great season for the NFL Pick'em show. It was great. We had a lot of fun. It was we ended up over 500 on all of our, on our picks on both sides of the, on for Justin and I, we could have won some money if we put, if we were just picking teams. We weren't picking, points and all this other bullshit. But we had a great season. We had a great playoffs. Great Super Bowl show last Friday. So if you didn't if you didn't see it, go back and watch it. It's on Running Through the Jungle. I'm excited to see what happens next year with the NFL Pick'em show. Hopefully Justin comes back and joins me again and for season 2. And, maybe we'll get some other special guests. We had special guest John Otto on the show one time.
He's
Maybe
awesome.
Maybe I can convince some other bandmates to come on. I don't know.
Well, we play his team again next year, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Yep. And he already said he will be on the show for when we do our show for the Jaguars and Bengals matchup. So he'll be happy to come back on. But everybody, thank you guys for having such a great season. It's been fun. I know it's been kind of hard for everybody, work schedules and Brandon getting married and going to Italy and Chase showing up whenever he can show up. I appreciate you guys. This is what I enjoy. This is why I do this, is because to have this, group of us guys that are Cincinnati Bengals fans, but also very NFL knowledge. We have a lot of NFL knowledge in this group. We're not just Cincinnati Bengals fans. We know a lot of shit about football. So it's just been great. Thank you guys for having me on as always. Hooday.
Yeah, I want to thank Double A for always rocking with us, man. We appreciate you over there in the chat, talking it up with us. Harder to get more chats in when all 4 of us are here. We did get a couple of them in there for you. We appreciate you. Pay and I have been talking about it over the past 2 seasons. We've averaged just over 58% wins, which is professional gambler right on the teeter of that.
Mm-hmm.
But we do a lot of deep diving, right? We do our show on Wednesdays normally, and we do a lot of deep diving, and then we end up finding stuff on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we're talking about doing some sort of a subscription thing. I don't think it's going to be like, if it does cost anything, it's just going to be because it has to, kind of 99-cent kind of deal or whatever, to throw our picks out there, because I was 162 units up for the season. Pretty good year for the old boy. So,
nice.
So we want to start sharing some of that stuff that we're catching later and on down the road. I'm actually in a group from Detroit. It's Detroit 313 Detroit Sports Bets, and we get the hammer of the night, the hammer of the day, those kind of things. We get a lot of. We've got an interesting network with the sharks and some of the smart money out there. So we've been getting some pretty good intel, and some of those late add-ons are worth their weight in gold. So we want to start sharing those next year too. But until then, meet us here next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, as we are running through the jungle.